Ever have that feeling that the world is just changing way too fast to keep up? I mean, one minute a company's on top of the world, and the next poof, it's gone. It's a feeling a lot of us have. So what's the secret? How do some people and some organizations manage to not just survive, but actually thrive in all this chaos? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack here. We're going to build a playbook for thriving in this turbulent world. Let's get right into it. Turns out there's a term for this. The U.S. Army War College actually came up with the perfect acronym to describe this constant state of flux. They call it VUCA. So, VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It's a pretty good description, right? It's a world where things are constantly shifting. The old rules don't apply anymore, and just making sense of it all is a huge challenge. So, if this is the new normal, how in the world do you win? But here's the tough part, the really harsh reality. The numbers show that most attempts to change, whether it's a New Year's resolution or a massive corporate overhaul, are pretty much doomed to fail. Seriously, the odds are stacked against success. That means finding an approach that actually works isn't just a nice to have, it is absolutely critical for survival. I've dug through the work of some of the best minds in finance, strategy, and psychology to pull together a 4-part playbook. I'm going to start with the foundation, which is mindset is the game. From there, I'll get into learning to really learn, then focus on what matters, and finally I'll tie it all together with how to get from plan to action. All right, first up, mindset is the game. Before we talk about strategy or making a plan, success in this VUCA world comes down to one thing: the fundamental way you approach problems and spot opportunities. Your thinking is like the operating system for everything else you do. And this slide right here just nails the difference. Robert Kiyosaki, in his book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, points this out perfectly. See, the statement, "I can't afford it," is a full stop. It's a brick wall for your brain. The conversation is over. But asking, "How can I afford it?" well, it kicks your brain into gear, forces you to get creative, and starts the hunt for a solution. And you know what? This gap in mindset isn't just a personal thing. The organizational psychologist Chris Argyris found the exact same dynamic inside companies. You have what a company says it believes, he called that its espoused theory, and then there's what it actually does. Just think about a company that claims to value innovation but then punishes every single experiment that doesn't work out. The bigger that gap, the more things start to break down. Real change only begins when you start to close the gap. So that leads us right into our second theme: learning to really learn. Having the right mindset is the starting line. But to constantly adapt, you need a way, way deeper kind of learning. It's about shifting from just fixing problems as they pop up to changing how you fix them in the first place. Argyris called this double loop learning. Now think about it like this. Single loop learning is like adjusting your thermostat. The room gets too cold, you turn up the heat, you're just fixing a symptom based on a rule that's already there. Double loop learning is when you step back and ask, wait a minute, why is the thermostat set to this temperature anyway? Is this even the right goal? You see the difference? You stop just fixing the symptom and you start questioning the core assumptions that led to the problem. That is the leap. And this is how it looks in the real world. It's a cycle that never stops. You start with learning, really generating deep insights, not just collecting piles of data. Then you focus. You use those insights to make the tough calls about where you're going to play and how you're going to win. Next, and this is so important, you align everyone around that strategy, you get them on board, and finally, you execute. But as you can see, it's a loop. It's not a one and done plan. You're constantly learning and adapting. And that brings us perfectly to our third principle. Focus on what matters. Having an open mindset and a great learning system is amazing, but without clear direction, all that energy just gets scattered. You see, success in a complex world isn't about doing more things. It's about doing fewer things, but doing the right things, the vital few that create the biggest impact. The founder of McDonald's, Ray Kroc, was once asked by a group of students what business he was in. You'd think he'd say hamburgers, right? Nope. He told them, "My business is real estate." He knew the burgers were just the vehicle to acquire incredibly valuable pieces of land at key intersections all over the world. That was his real focus. So let me ask you, do you know what your real estate is? Kiyosaki really boils this whole idea down to a fundamental shift in where you put your attention. See, most of us are trained to obsess over our income statement, our paycheck, but he argues that real financial strength comes from obsessing over your asset column. Your job pays the bills, sure, but your business is building up that asset column. The entire game changes the moment you start focusing on buying things that put money in your pocket instead of things that take it out. Okay? We've got the mindset, we got the learning process, and we have the focus. Now for the final and maybe most important piece, from plan to action. How do you actually get a whole group of people to move in a new direction together? Well, it's not magic, it's a system. The change expert John Kotter laid out this incredible roadmap. It all kicks off with urgency. People have to truly feel the need for change. Then you build a powerful coalition and you create a clear, compelling vision. But here's where so many change efforts fail. You have to empower action by knocking down the barriers that are in people's way. And maybe the most important part, you have to plan for and create short-term wins. Those little victories are everything. They build momentum and prove to everyone that this change is real and it's actually working. So when you put all this together, what's the end goal? It's not about creating some perfect, rigid plan that's impossible in a VUCA world anyway. The real goal is to build what one systems thinker called a robust system, an organization, or even just a life that can take a punch, learn from it, and be ready to jump on opportunities the moment they appear. So from mindset and learning to focus and action, the real goal here isn't just to survive the next big change, it's to build a system for your career, for your finances, for your organization that actually gets stronger because of change. A system that's ready for whatever comes next. And that really leaves us with one final crucial question to think about. What are you building?